Shokuhou Misaki has been one of the most controversial characters in the entire Toaru franchise since her debut as a rival to the super popular Misaka Mikoto. While she is also adored due to her complex morals, her menacing superpower, and her notorious character design, other fans absolutely despise her, mockingly referring to her as Shitsaki, and probably wanting her to be removed from the story entirely. But what makes her such a controversial character? In her debut scene in A Certain Scientific Railgun, Misaki came across as a complete biatch, intentionally. With the mind-controlling Esper power known as Mental Out, she forcibly manipulated the minds of her school peers just to troll Misaka for the hell of it. This definitely made the hardcore fans of Misaka dislike her due to how badly she was treating their beloved waifu. God, why do anime fans take this shit so seriously to the point they get butthurt over fictional characters? I have no idea. It gets worse though, much worse. As the story progressed in Railgun, Misaki was teased as the villain of the Daiheisei arc, that she was the evil mastermind behind the scenes causing so much trouble, not only endangering the life of a Misaka clone who Mikoto values as her actual sister, but also wiping the memories of her closest friends. I guess you can't blame her or the audience for thinking that Misaki had some malicious intentions against her. But in typical Kamachi fashion, the plot was twisted as Kihara Gensei was revealed as the true villain, and Misaki's unpleasant actions were simply due to her wanting to keep Misaka out of the situation due to the lack of trust she has for her. And by the end of the arc, she probably had good reason in doing so, as Misaka's involvement nearly destroyed the entire world. I think Misaki's actions sums her up as a character rather well. She is definitely a morally grey character who isn't exactly an angel or a devil, at least from my perspective. She's technically one of the good guys, but her means of solving problems can be seen as unorthodox and insensitive to say the least. Whether that makes Misaki more compelling or more dislikable is up for you to decide. Although I think it was clear that she was written to be a divisive character in the story. Nevertheless, from character popularity polls in Japan, Misaki is in the top 3 most popular girls in the series next to Misaka and Ophinus. While I am not sure if Misaki gets the same criticism over there as she does in the West, it is true that majority of Toaru fans do like her as a character. But Aeon, you said in the title and thumbnail that Misaki is hated. You're contradicting yourself, you fraud. But what I told you was true. From a certain point of view. Listen, that doesn't change the fact there is a sizable vocal minority who embrace a different opinion, and that's possibly due to the fact that the primary reason why some fans despise her is due to a volume of the index light novel that the majority of fans haven't read. So I don't want to see the Misaki isn't hated comments down below. Let me cook. Plus, popular series and characters are prime targets for criticism because they get the most recognition. Look at SAO for example, which used to be one of the most popular anime back in the day until its reputation got shafted on so hard it became easy to hate. And using an example from Toaru, Misaka may be the most popular character, but from that mass appeal comes a shit ton of scrutiny for it, whether she truly does deserve to be the poster girl of the entire franchise. Speaking of Misaka, if you would like to see a video exploring why she is hated, then make sure you subscribe to the channel and I will make that video for you. From my own observations, fans of the light novels tend to be more split in their opinions concerning her. Misaki has a tragic backstory where the love of her life, Kamijo Toma, was unable to form any new memories of her and forgets who she is every time they part. Sounds like a kinda cliche, cringy, and melodramatic romance out of context, I know, but the worst part is, Misaki feels responsible for it as she was the one who tried to tamper with his brain to ease the pain, that rhymed, after suffering serious injuries. Haters of Misaki often claim she is way too obsessed and fixated on the spiky-haired boy for her own good, and yet she has developed massively as a character due to her complicated relationship with him. This tear-jerking past was revealed in the sequel light novel series to a certain magical index known as New Testament, the real New Testament, during which Misaki appeared outside of Railgun for the first time. But later on in the story, Misaka and her got to show up a lot more, even if the plot itself didn't really require for them to be there in the first place. It came across as though they were being included in this story simply because they were popular, and that the author Kamachi Kazuma just came up with random excuses to include them in the arcs. Mainly because Misaki tries to get in Toma's pants every time, but that's another story. While her screen time was more of a mild annoyance, if anything, to the fans who disliked her, this was nothing compared to what was about to happen with her role in the final volume of NT. NT22R, or you can call it NTR if you're into that, I guess. Misaki was forced into a tough decision, which still pisses off some fans 4 years on from after the volume was released, where she betrayed her allies for her own selfish wish. Hold on, it was nowhere near as bad as what Griffith did in Berserk. That's in the transcendent tier of top 10 anime betrayals. Cutting a long story short, Kamijo Toma's power in his right arm reached its breaking point and spawned a doppelganger of himself, claiming to be the real Toma. Literally this. Anyway, the new Toma, that we will refer to as KNT for convenience sake, actually has all of Toma's memories, even the ones that were erased by Index and the lost ones of Misaki. After leaving OG Toma for dead, KNT joins up with Misaka, Index, and Misaki, who initially have no idea that he's not the same person they know. While KNT is more manipulative and cunning than the real Toma, he integrates with the others seamlessly, as he basically believes Toma's life is his own and wants to claim it for himself. The peace doesn't last forever, as OG Toma returns to take back his harem, but this time, he's now a dragon. Read this and don't ask questions. Misaki was stuck between siding with KNT the imposter and the Dragon Boy, despite pretty much being aware now that KNT wasn't the original due to his overly violent nature, but still decided to side with him, turning her back against the others by using her berserk power against Misaka, which then took control of her mind. The reason why she did this was because Misaki's ultimate dream was that there would one day be a miracle where Toma would finally remember her. Since KNT had memories of their past, the opportunity he presented to her was too much to refuse. But as you can imagine, this triggered a lot of readers due to how selfish she was. KNT, however, did purposefully provoke her by mentioning about the whistle that Toma once gave her to blow in case she needed help, which is a very sentimental item to her. By tugging at the heartstrings, it undoubtedly influenced Misaki to his side. She pretty much realized that she fucked up immediately, regretting her actions as the situation escalated at Windsor Castle. There was no warmth coming from KNT. All he was concentrated on was maintaining control over the Queen of England and the castle, while also wanting to eliminate Toma. He did address Misaki directly with small talk and mentioned about their past, but it was pretty evident he was doing it all to control her, by stating that he is the only one who remembers. The other major criticism of Misaki's betrayal is that there were no repercussions for her actions. In the sense, she pretty much walks free in Genesis Testament, the sequel to NT, with the other characters not even questioning her actions during the arc. Arguably, you could say the consequences of her actions actually already occurred in NT22R, with her being injured via the conflict which she caused with her own power, and viewing it as her punishment. Ultimately realizing she was chasing a false hopeless dream because of how desperate she was to relive the time when Toma remembered her. She then accepts the original Toma as the one she loves, regrets her mistake, and passes out. And by the time she recovers at the end of the volume, it's all sunshine and rainbows. The question is, was Misaki nearly dying from blood loss and regretting her actions enough? Or should Misaka and the others have disassociated themselves from her entirely to make it seem like what she did was unforgivable? I'll let you decide. From a personal standpoint, Misaki is my favourite female character in the series due to her fascinating moral compass and the multi-layered relationships she has with other characters. I don't think she deserves the hate, of course, but hopefully this gives insight into why she is a controversial character. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you check out my other ones on screen right now about Misaka, Misaki, and the other level 5 espers. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.